Saludos everybody, welcome back to Decent Shirt, where we play cards while we wear decent shirts. And it's been a while, but we're here and we're ready to open the one, the only Moonrise booster box. So let's get on to the video. Alrighty, let's get to it. We have our good old booster box, as always, lovely decorated by all sides with the amazing art of all these new cards in Moonrise. This is actually my first booster box being open. This is actually one that I bought from my LGS in Puerto Rico because the one that I ordered hasn't arrived yet because orders have been delayed due to the storm and all that. But since I got from the LGS, that means I do get this amazing promo that we're going to be also opening in a bit. So let's just ask for the powers of good old Scissor Kundes. Let's see. Okay, we might need more power from Scissor Kundes. I'm a total professional. As you can see, I totally know how to open these. There is no doubt in your minds that I've opened a bunch of these in the past. Alright, so I just opened the seal. As always, make sure that if you're buying a sealed product, that is always sealed, because if you see the marks, that means that it has been tampered with. Alright, oh, that's really pretty. Look at that. I really like this logo with this background. That's really pretty. Alright, so our box upper is a Posthumous, and I actually love this art, especially with the heart in the middle. That's so cute. Posthumous is such a cool card, a cool concept, and I hope that it sees play, honestly. I'll definitely try to make a deck around it because it's such a cool card, and the art is amazing. Speaking of, let's talk about this amazing art for this promo that was limited to only LGS. So if you bought from the LGS, then you probably got yourself this copy. It's a little bit bent if you see it, but still very pretty. I love the blood red on the card. It looks so good, and this card has a lot of potential if you ask me, since it revives itself. Any card that does that, huge potential in my book. Alright, let's just get to it. Let's just open cards. Let's open packs. We got Havocub. This is a new Nexus form of Frigid Cub. It cannot be changed position by card effects. Pretty cool. For attack 3 defense, pretty solid. Drakid, alright, the OG art. We already got that. Porkerate's pretty cool. When it enters battle, when an Elestral, you can give it -2 for each lunar enchant in this card. So you could go with really funky ideas of enchanting Porkerate in a battle step, so that way you can lower the attack of your opponent's monsters. So that's really cool. I think that's gonna be an interesting tech in some decks. Arbod, which this is the OG art. We got it from Shatterstars originally, but I'm glad that we finally get the OG art because I much prefer this one. Alright, Clovey. Speaking of other art, we got Clovey. This is the base set Clovey, but with a much sadder art, right? Let's see if you can see it. Oh, it's so sad. It seems to be in the cold. Well, that's going to tie into its new ascension, which hopefully we'll see soon. Alright, we got Lunar Face Waning Crescent. This is one of 8 new cards with the same name but different titles, similar to that of Morphrost. And it seems to be a really cool archetype, especially because each card tells a story. It's really interesting. This card says that you can return up to 2 lunar from your underworld, and if you do, you can just do that. It's just returning 2 lunar, so it's like an Ambro. Pretty cool thing, like a pseudo mini Ambro. But if it is discarded by another lunar face effect, you can draw a card and then discard a card. So it's filtering through your hand. Alright, the new Tsunami. Speaking of new cards with new titles, this card changes the position of up to 2 Elestrals. And after you do that, you may enchant 1 water or a lunar from your underworld. So basically, this is like a free card, if you ask me, because you are, well, not a free card, but at least a 1 cost card, even though it says 2, because you are returning 1 of them to your spirit deck, or to the spirit deck, not to your field, but still really good. Alright, Aurora Borealis, another really cool card for the different archetypes right now. This is a counter rune that says that when you can discard a card in order to enchant a frost from your underworld to your field and then return a frost from your underworld to your spirit deck. So it is like a new pseudo Ambrosia as well, but in a counter rune. And it's really interesting because it can work with the Morphrost Terraform, which would allow you to add more spirits to it. So I think this card will see some interesting play. Oh, and there we go. One of the most hyped up cards in the set. We got Blistrix, bro. Look at that. Alright, this card, it's being hyped up to be one of the best decks in the format. Personally, I'm not a believer, but I'm all for being proven wrong. If you don't know what it does, it basically is a new strategy that is all about self-milling. And if you ever get this card out, while you have the earlier ascension, you are allowed to ascend directly into it. And this card also is like a new, like, what was it, Judgment Dragon. This is like the Judgment Dragon and like Lightsworn decks in Elestrals, where you can send 3 Elestrals in your underworld back to the deck, and if you do, you can target and destroy a card. So really, really good card. Alright, first card, first pull, really solid. Alright, and I love the new art for Luminate. Alright, so let's just open the next pack. Not need to wait on Cactibrel. This is a really cool card that works also with Sandstorm, so I'm really excited to see if anyone cooks up something interesting with this deck. Alright, the OG Navi. We finally have the OG Navi. We've seen Navi for so long. Let's see if we can just focus on that card. Oh, there we go. Very pretty. This is the Dance card. This is the card that Dan affiliates with, and it has a really solid effect. The only problem is that with the new lunar decks coming around, this probably is not going to see a lot of play, but still really solid card. We got FULLART, so another card that we're finally getting, the OG card. Jesus, there's so many cards that we have before, but now we finally get the OG art, and I'm so excited because I really love this art as well. This is your new searcher for Artemis. Oh, and we got the Boldusk. This is one of the most hyped up cards of this set, because this is in theory going to be a new way to run like the starting turn. This is like a new engine. It says that whenever you cast a lunar phase while this card is enchanted, you are allowed to either draw a card or return a lunar. So you can either make it most of the lunar phases free cost or a additional draw. So that's really awesome. And we got, again, another OG card. We finally get the Gloombat. I love it. Alright. This card, I think it will be a nice side deck card that we'll see waving, right? Like, you'll see some success, I'm sure of it, because at the very least, it's also a way to ascend. So I think this one is a really cool card, and I'm glad that we finally have the original art. Alright, we got Cunning Offer. This one is one of the more gimmicky cards of the set. Until the end phase, an opponent takes control of target Elestral on your field, and that Elestral gains the effect. When this Elestral is destroyed in battle, you can expend 3. Alright, so, or you expend 3. So basically, you're giving control of one of your Elestrals to your opponent, and therefore, whenever you destroy it, it gets like the Poison Tunic treatment of burning your opponent. It's interesting. It has like some synergy with the new like horse solar Elestrals that we're gonna see soon, I'm sure. But it's too gimmicky in my book. But you know, we got Helo Slumber. That's a really cool card. I just wish that it wasn't a counter rune, but it allows you to target an Elestral in your underworld. It doesn't even have to be a solar, and put it on top of your deck, so you're able to stack your deck with 1 card on your underworld. That's pretty cool. Ooh, Doppelganger. Finally, we get Doppelganger. We've had Navi for so long, but we finally get the Doppelganger. This card is good for the same virtue as Cryovern. You basically, it's a card that you are able to ascend easily, in theory. and it's able to attack that very same turn that you cast it. So it's really solid that way. It also has an interesting effect of like lowering the stats of any non-lunar or solar Celestial. So again, I think this is a really cool card. I don't know if the Fulgoric Select is really going to see that much play, but at the very least, Doppelganger Navi, pretty solid effects. And speaking of the devil, we do have all Fulgorics. I did order some of the structure decks, so I'm looking forward to opening those. But Fulgorics has a really cool effect. Those that are not lunar or solar enchanted get -5 attack. And it is also a Nexus card that if it ever receives a lunar or a wind spirit from a Nexus, it doesn't even have to be his. If you do, you can target an opponent's card and put it in the bottom of the deck. And let's appreciate this magnificent art of Owloon. This is the art that we were all waiting for. At least all common tropes, right? I think this card, this is the best art so far for Owloon. Even though we have the full arts, I think that one is so good with the full moon in the back. Alright, we have another lunar face. We have Final Quarter, which allows you to search for 2 lunar faces and send them to your underworld. And if this card is ever discarded by another lunar face, you can return a lunar spirit from your underworld to your spirit deck. Alright, another way to ramp up your underworld with lunar faces. Why do you want to do that? Well, you'll see very soon. Alright, we finally have Temple of the Moon. This card, I feel like we would have really appreciated it in Daybreak, so that way the few Elestrals that we did have that were lunar would have at least been able to benefit from the stadium. But alas, we finally have it. I love the art behind it, and I'm just excited to play with it. Oh, speaking of cards that I'm excited to play with, No Stone Unturned. No Stone Unturned is so good. It allows you to search for any golem Celestial. And if you didn't know, all the lists are golems. So you are basically able to now search for Arclith or your Lava list. So, really good card. Magnetic Field is a way to... It's a new interesting card. It's a card that is supposed to counter burn decks. I don't know if it's really going to see play, but I think it's going to be cool. A Navi, a Draco Ray. Draco Ray is another one that got a huge amount of hype because it is a walking sloggle or quackle when it's cast. So imagine having a 7 attack that can also heal 3. That's basically this card. It also has a good way to ascend into the Ascension, but really we're just going to have it for the sluggle effect. And I think this is going to be a really interesting deck in a while. Like, I think once people start experimenting with this card with Calf Mill, oof, that's gonna be a very intimidating combo. Speaking of, we do have Bow of Artemis that allows you to Nexus when you declare attack, as long as you have the Artemis in play. We do have another lunar phase. This is Waxing Gibbous. It allows you to target a lunar enchanted celestial and change its position, right? So that's pretty interesting. But you can also expend lunar phase and discard a lunar phase to make it undestructible for that turn, at least for card effects. So that's pretty cool. I think a good way of looking at this card is that it could be really good against a lunar deck, because you can target a lunar deck and change its position, and you don't even need to disenchant or discard a lunar card. I think this one is interesting. I think it has really interesting dynamics in the format. We do have our Lycaris, and we have Night Venom, which is one of the cards that I'm most excited to play with. I like Night Venom as a card. I do think that it needs a little bit more help in the future for it to really be a deck, but at least right now it's a really cool concept, and I think it can see play with other cards like, I don't know, Untitan, I don't know. We got Falnet, Boldust, second Boldust, really nice. Gloombat. Speaking of, Toxiri, the pre-ascension, which allows you to search for Dense Fog. Now Dense Fog is searchable. What do you think? I think this card is really solid. I really love, in testing, I've been like playing like proxies, and I just love playing Toxiri. I think this card is absolutely huge. And if it, as long as it's in play, all suppressed Celestials get -2 attack and -2 defense, so it has a way to protect itself, not only searching the Dense Fog. We do have the Kabakab, another lunar phase, another tsunami, another Aurora Borealis, and a full moon, which I did not know it was hollow in this set, but I'm really glad that it is. Full Moon is one of those important cards in this new set because it is what is single-handedly going to allow Farrageist and Like a Void to exist in the format. If you don't know what it does, basically it's a counter rune, so you can cast it in your opponent's turn, and it allows you to enchant an Celestial, not any lunar, just any Celestial, with 2 lunar or up to 2 lunar. And that means that this card is going to be really, really solid to cast out Farrageist because it means that you can just ascend over it and put the remaining solar. And it doesn't even have to be a lunar or solar deck. So this card is going to be see a lot of play, and it's also very important for the Like a Void to be able to cast it out with the Werepup. So we do have Toxiri, Havoc, Drag Kid, Porkeray, Arbut, and a Terrorheart. This is the Ascension of FULLART. I don't think this card is going to be particularly good, but it's a cool effect that negates a counter rune. So, you know. Balumbra, an interesting Ascension, but again, I don't think it's going to be all that great. Hypnosm, it's interesting. You can special cast it from your underworld in attack position if it was ever destroyed. So it's like a revive itself. And speaking of, we do have the Dragolus, which is the Ascension of the Dragoray. Again, not the greatest card ever, but I do think it'll be fun to see the cock become a drag and the drag become a drag. Dragolus allows you to basically go all in and suppress everything on the board and go for huge amounts of damage. Again, I think it's a little bit too much. Not really all that great for a 3-drop, but still a really cool card to see. We do have Drakkid, Porkeray, Arbud, Clovey, Cactibro, Conning Offer, Helios, Doppelgator, Pulveror is another card that's been getting a lot of hype because it is a card that can ascend really easily without waiting a turn, as long as you're able to disenchant from somewhere a Lunar Spirit. So, really solid card. And a Lunar Ape. Alright. So far, so good. I've been opening from each side to make sure that it's not being stacked. We do have Cactibro. We have a Cinder reprint. Pretty cool art. I love that art. Bellowbee is a new fire Celestial that I think some people are excited with. All fire and wind Celestials get +1 attack. And you can target a fire or wind Celestial, or that is enchanted, right? With a fire or wind. And if you do, that Celestial is unaffected by counter runes. That's a really interesting effect. I think that it has potential. Oh, speaking of cards that has potential, we do have Snark. Snark is going to be so good because it allows you to search for a card, not just runes or Celestials either, as long as it has a lunar and water spirit cost. Oh, we do have Werepup. This is the card that everybody has their eyes on because it is basically able to search any lunar phase, whether that's full moon or any other one. And if you cast out lunar phase full moon while this card is in play, you are able to ascend directly into Like a Void. We do have a Bandiloon, which allows you to steal counter runes. We do have Herbarum, which I already have my own copies of the stellar ones, but it's really cool to see the art. I think that it looks really dope with the full moon in the back. And we got a regular art Postamoose. Alrighty. Let's continue our rating this packs. We got Starbit. I love this Starbit art, but I love the Shattered Stars art more. But it's really solid. I love this card. I'm really excited to build the deck around this card. Hopefully you'll see the one in the channel in the near future. We do have Electrify, which is very scary for Thunder. We have Winyin, which is another really cool deck. I've seen a lot of people talk about theorizing and not talk about the fact that you can just use any Foretell, and as long as you have any Foretell and then you cast the Winyin, you already know what's going to be in the top. People talk about the First Light and all that, but realistically, you don't even need to play First Light. You can just Foretell before and just go with the Winyin. I think that's enough. Carry on new reprint. We do have a Snowlet, which is the pre-ascension of the Blistrix. When it receives a Frost Spirit, it allows you to send the top 3 cards of your deck. Why would you want to do that? Well, you're gonna see that the Ascensions really like being milled. Speaking of cards that like to be milled, we do have a Citosaur, which is a new ascension for Clovey. If it's ever sent from the deck to the underworld, you are able to special cast it directly from the underworld into the field with either double frost or double earth, so it's not going to be properly enchanted. However, this serves as a great vehicle to also cast out the Blistrix if you ever draw it. We do have a Cactivrum, we have a new reprint for Oysteress, and we have a beautiful, beautiful Artemis that I'm so excited to pull because I love the original art and this just looks so good. Like, let's be honest. This Artemis, new babe. Come on. Really good. There we go. Let's see if it can focus. There we go. See? So pretty. Alright. Let's open the next pack. We have Cinder, Bellowbee, Snark, Starbit, Electrify, Paraheart, Bolumbra, Hypnosm, and a Corvuscle. Corvuscle got a little bit of hype because it allows you to manipulate your underworld and your top deck. It foretells, but you can change the top card with one card in the underworld. So that's really solid. I think that has a lot of potential in the future. And perhaps even now. I just hope that people get a little bit creative with this. Alright, let's just open the next pack. Alright, we got another Winjin, Carrion, Snowlet, Cockaray. Alright, Cockaray, the pre-ascension of Dracaray. If you cast First Light, you are able to immediately ascend into Dracaray, so that's really solid. And it also cannot be suppressed. So even if, like, for example, you play First Light, they cast Gorgons, well, you can negate the effect, but you won't be able to suppress it, so you can cast another First Light. So that's really solid. I think that's a really cool card. Armadon is another really cool card that has interesting implications because whenever it changes position, you are able to burn your opponent for 1. It has 6 defense, so that's also really interesting in a water deck with Galaxy. We do have another Werepup, a Bandaloon, Arverum, and Divine Blessing. This is probably one of the cards that I'm most excited to play with because it is like a new way of healing. Basically, it allows you to enchant up to 3 spirits from your underworld to one of your divine runes. So you don't get it back in your spirit deck, but you do get it to your divine rune. And that could go a long way. In many cases, it's even better than Ambrosia in some instances. So, alright, we do have a Cockaray, a Mordon. Oh, Luxomare is an interesting card. Basically, this card is able to cast out Aeostel from your hand or deck if it's ever changed. So that's the gimmick that you saw with the Conning Offer. But it's just a solid 4-5 attack Lunar. So that's really solid for Lunar because they usually didn't have like the greatest stats. We have First Quarter, which allows you to draw a card. I wish there was an Invoke rune, but unfortunately it is a counter rune. It is, you know, it's a little bit more balanced, you imagine, right? Waiting a turn to at least draw a card. But if it's ever if you discard a Lunar Face, you are allowed to return a Boldust, Volumbra, or Bold Clips from your underworld to your hand. So that's really interesting. Oh, another one, Waning Gibbous. I think this one, I don't think we read this one. It allows you to shuffle either a Lunar Phrase, a Volumbra, or a Bold Clips from your hand or underworld into your deck. And if you do, you can search for a Boldust and add it to your hand. Electrolyte, another interesting card that allows you to cast out more Electrifies, or I don't even remember the pre-ascension, but it's really interesting. I think it's going to be a scary implication for Thunder, but we will just have to wait and see if it really is all that intimidating. We do have Titano Strike. We did get it before with the Toxium build, but now we have another one. Oh, and finally we get to see the final one of the Blistrix line, Aspral. If you're ever going to mill discard, if you ever mill discard while you have the Snowlet in the field, you are able to directly ascend from your underworld with up to this card, and you can expend 1 Frost to be able to ascend into 3. You can expend 1 Frost, and if you do, you can send the top 4 cards, and that's where you get the Blistrix. If you have the Astral in play while you mill the Blistrix, you're able to ascend into it, and that's basically the combo. Hectoplasm also got a little bit of hype because if this card is sent from your hand or deck to the underworld, you can expend 1 Lunar, and if you do, you can special cast it with double Lunar, so this becomes another way of casting out, for example, a Guys. So, really interesting cards in this set. I think that this set really amps up the speed and tempo of the decks in Elestrals, and I'm really excited for the changes that are right to come. Okay, another lunar phase, another lunar phase, another lunar phase. I think we already read this one as well. Yes, a Temple of the Moon, another Caesar, which is nice. Cactibrum, Elestrals, a Cryptoris. Cryptoris is an interesting card. I don't think it's particularly good, but it does like foretelling. It gets +2 for every time that you foretell, and you can expend 1 lunar to foretell 3, and then add any Elestral that at least costs 2 spirits. So it's interesting. It can become a 4, not too broken or anything, but if you combine it with other like solar cards, it's an interesting card. We got Starbit, Electrify, Wenjin, Carrion, Snowlet, Bow of Artemis. I think we've seen through basically everyone. Yeah, and there we go. Nani? Stellar! Oh my god, I just noticed. What? Oh my god. Look at that. The Stellar. Reverse Stellar. Okay. Alright. It took me a minute to register. Alright, so we were able to get a Reverse Stellar. Awesome. Alright. We'll take those. We'll definitely take those. For those that didn't know, each of the lunar phases can be obtained as a Reverse Stellar in this set. So, really cool idea from part of Dan. We do have Navi, FULLART, Bold Dusk, Electronite, Titanostrike, another Astral, and Salachade, which is also really interesting. This is part of a mill deck, but it also allows you to go a little bit more offensive, because Salachade gets +1 for each Elestral in your opponent's underworld. So if you're going against something like a Frost, like Blistrix, this card can really make a lot of use out of all the cards that they like to send to the underworld. So, and when you receive, I believe when a player casts an Elestral, right? When it receives, I keep saying when it receives. When you cast an Elestral or your opponent casts an Elestral, your opponent has to send top 3. So it's another way of controlling the board. Really cool card. Temple of the Moon, No Stone Unturned, Magnetic Force Field, Navi, FULLART, Terrorheart, Bolumbra, Hypnopossum, and Gardon, which is not particularly great. But still, cool card. I do think, and I'm going to go on record here saying that the Shield of Achilles FULLART was really a plan to be an Armadon, and they just decided, oh no, let's just make it a Shield of Achilles art, because it just focuses too much on the Gardon instead of the shield. So I'm gonna stick on that one. That's gonna be my hot take. But yeah, let's see. Oh, and a Draking. All right, cool card. Obviously most people already have their Draking copies due to the a Shattered Stars bundle, but still really cool. Love the art. Gloombat, Toxiri, Havacub, Drakid, Porkeray, another Jackeray, which is nice to see. Bow of Artemis, a Waving, and a Hurricane. Alright, this card got a lot of hype, but a lot of people are mixed on it. They don't know if it's actually going to be good or bad. As most YouTubers have gone on record, it's a card that is going to depend on the meta. If people don't prepare for it, then Hurricane's going to be good. If people over prepare for it, then this card is going to be trash. So it's like the perfect card for a side deck, if you ask me. Okay, we got Porkeray, Arbod, Clovey, Cactiro, Cinder, Tsunami, Aurora Borealis, Cunning Offer, Aristel. This one is another new Celestial. This is the Ascension of the other one that we saw. And when you cast it, you are able to foretell 3, and you are able to special cast any 1 Spirit Solar Celestial that you find there. So it's really interesting to go wide, and also has decent stats, 6 attack, 6 defense, you know. Nothing like super great, but it could be an interesting card to include in solar decks if you want to go more the aggro wide form. We got Arbod, Clovey, Cactibro, Cinder, oh my god, Beloby, Lunar Face, Tsunami, Aurora Borealis, and then Fornax, which again, another interesting card. only 4 attack and 7 defense, but you can expend 1 wind, and if you do, you can return an opponent's card, and you're not even targeting. So that's really solid, if you ask me. Being able to not target and return a card is really strong. And if you ever cast an Elestral or a rune with fire or wind, you can give this card +2. And I do believe that this does count in the cast, so that means that on cast, this card becomes a 6 attack 2-drop, which is not too shabby. Alright. So far, I gotta say the pulls are decent. I mean, we did get a reverse though, so I really cannot blame myself over here, you know. We got Snark, Starve It, Electrify It, Windjin, Carry On, Counting Offer, Helios Slumber, Doppelganger, and a Jobling. This is another card that got a lot of hype. It works with the Tsunami. Every time that you change position or an opponent changes position, you are allowed to draw a card, so that's really cool. I think there's a deck somewhere there, especially because you can search it with the Snark. I do wish that you could cast it with the Rock and Hard Place, but you know, we can't have everything. Let's see. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. Let's see. And we got a Bolt Clips. Alright. So, all the lunar phases are to revolve around this strategy, which is the final ascension of Boldust. It gets +1 for each different name or different title of a lunar phase in your underworld. So, this card in endgame, though it looks like a 6 attack, it could realistically look more like a 9 or 10 attack. And if you ever get the 8 different lunar phases in your underworld while this card is in play, you can shuffle all those and then return your opponent's entire field to the hand. Yeah, to the hand. I think that's a card that a lot of people are going to be excited to try out and see if they can make it work. I don't know how consistent that is, but it's definitely going to be a great deck for those local warriors trying to get extra bounty points. They got Electrify, Windjin, Helios Slumber, Doppelganger, Terra Heart, and a Comalis. Alright. Very important card for Fair guys. Very important card for Lunar in general, because it searches for any spectral Elestral. And I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the different Elestrals that are lunar are also spectral. So, you got Carry On, Snowlet, Cockleray, Armadon, Luxamare, Belumbra, Hypnosum, another Werepop, and a Lunar Face New Moon. This is probably the best after Full Moon because it's both a suppression card just like Artemis, while also being able to destroy. As long as you play other lunar phases, this card can also destroy any Elestral. So that's really solid. And we got Lunar Phase, Lunar Phase, Lunar Phase, Temple of the Moon, No Sun Return, Bundeloon, Arbarm, Certosaur, Lunar Phase, Waving Crescent. I don't think we had this one. Alright, so this, I think this is the last of the full moons, or not full moons, lunar phases. It allows you to target a lunar enchanted Elestral and give it +1 until the end phase for each lunar phase in the underworld. So a way to protect your Elestrals. Really interesting. If you're able to play the lunar cards, I think this is an interesting way to play the game. I don't know if it's gonna be like meta, but it's definitely interesting. Alright, so let's see. And we got an Auxiliary, which again, if you got Shatterstars, then you probably already have your 3 copies of it. But it's interesting. It's a new way for water to go with more destruction effects, which I always appreciate. We got Nami, Falnet, Boldust, Gloombat, Toxiri, Cedarsaur, Cactibrum, Oistress, and a Phasmacore. Alright. We got the Stellar Phasmacore and the regular Phasmacore. Both are amazing. I love the art of both of them. I'm definitely going to try out and see if we can build a deck around these cards because they do seem very fun. So, let's see. We got Magnetic Field, Force Field, Navi, Falnet, Voldusk, Bloombat, Cactivrum, Oistress, Electronite, and a Hollow Terratlas. Oh, and we also got a Spoiled Fruit. Spoiled Fruit is also a really very appreciated card because it is going to be one of those cards that is going to see in a lot of side decks. If you have an effect that return spirits from your underworld to the spirit deck, then this card not only negates it, but also destroys the card. That is a very powerful card. And I love that we got the Atlantis as the holo art. I think it's really pretty. I think this is probably my favorite Atlantis art so far. Yeah, I think this one looks really awesome, and it's really cool that we got it as our holo for this box. We got Toxiri, Cup, Drakid, Porkerate, Arbot, Titanostrike, another Astral, another Dracarate, and a Necrolith. I was really looking forward to getting a Necrolith. Necrolith is a new lith, and if your opponent has 2 suppress Elestrals, I believe. No, suppress cards. Alright, awesome, even better. So if your opponent has 2 suppress cards or more, you are able to normal cast it, and when you cast it, you can target an Elestral that is... you can target a suppress Elestral and destroy it. So it's a removal for Lunar. Haha! Awesome. You know, as if it needed that. Right? Alright, so we got Porkerate, Arbud, another Clovey, Electronite, Titanostrike, Astral, and a Magneros. Alright, it took me so long to get one. Alright, so this card seems to be very hyped on for Thunder casters because we finally have a new Nexus Celestial for Astravet to abuse, and it also allows you to search for any Thunder Invoke rune. So that means you can search Thunderstorm, you can search Race to the Top, you can search Hurricane. So there is some interesting cards that you can get with this card, but at the end of the day, people just want it for the fact that you are able to manipulate the spirits and able to proc the Astravet. So that's the most important thing at the end of the day for most people. Alright, and we got another Fulgorix. Alright, Fulgorix. We have, how many packs? We only have 4 packs left. Nope, make that 6 packs. We still have our full art to pull. We have been able to pull a reverse stellar, so that's really cool. Let's see if we can pull any other pretty cards. We got Starbit, Electrify, Wenjin, Carrion, Snowlet, Tsunami, Aurora Borealis, Cunning Offer, and a Postamoose. Alright. Let's see. Can we pull? What full art would I want to pull? I do not know. I really don't know what full art I would want. Probably Artemis, if I had to guess. I do have every other full art Divine Rune. Oh, speaking of, we got Starbit, and yeah, I love Starbit. I love this art, and I'm really excited that we got to pull one. Look at that cute Starbit over there. We haven't talked about Starbit. This is a new Elestral titled that works in tandem with this card. It works almost like a Cryovern, where if once you reach a certain attack stat, you have to ascend into the Starbit. But if this card ascends from a Starbit at any point, you are able to basically protect any spirit under the Starbit and nexus it off once it gets destroyed, and you're also able to draw a card. So really cool, love it. I love the pose. Starbit reminds me so much of Elemental Heroes, which was one of my favorite decks when I was playing growing up Yu-Gi-Oh. So Kokore, Armadon, Luxamare, Lunar Face, Helio Shield, Doppelgate, and another Ectopossum. Alright, we're getting to the end. Can we pull another baddie? Can we pull? Let's see. Electrify, Wenjin, Carrion, Snowlet, Kokore, Lunar Face, Tsunami, Aurora Borealis, and a Lycovoid. Alright, we finally pulled one. Alright, Lycovoid, probably one of the most hyped up cards in the set. It works with Werepup. You're able to get immunity to counter runes as long as you casted a new moon that turn. And consider Werepup can search it and then ascend into it. So it's really interesting. I think under Temple of the Moon, it's really strong because it also has piercing. So I think that's a card that is going to revolutionize the way that we play Elestrals, really. Alright, another Night Venom. Don't mind if I do. And for our last pack, can we pull some last pack magic? Come on, give me a stellar. Give me a stellar, you know. Let's see. Woo. Alright, let's pull one here. And, okay, one more. One more. Can we pull something? And it's actually Scorpio. Huh. We hadn't pulled a single Scorpio. This is the first Scorpio that we pulled. Alright. This is actually a card that's getting a lot of hype right now, especially because it won the most recent MBT tournament. Really cool. It's a new way of removal, and since it's searchable with Lycan form, you can basically guarantee any removal with the Elestral, with Morphos. So, and it also procs Bat. So there's a lot of really cool combos that you can go off of it. All right, so let's just show our pools. These were our amazing pools for this video. All right, I gotta say they're pretty decent. Obviously we would love to have multiples of these, but we can't complain too much. We did get a little bit of everything, and I'm excited to open my second box once it arrives. So, having said that, I want to hear from you. What was your favorite pool out of my box? Was it the Starbit? Was it the Blistrix? Was it the Teratlas? Whatever it is, write it in the comment section. I'm excited to see what you guys write. And do look forward to our next video, because we are definitely going to be indulging in the world of Elestrals with our newest expansion, Moonrise. So don't miss out. Please remember to like, subscribe if you haven't already, and look forward to more amazing content. Having said that, I'm going to sign out. Decent Shirt, signing out.